Tánaiste, I'd like to begin today by expressing the sympathy of the Fianna Fáil party, and I'm sure I speak for all members of the House in conveying sympathy to the people and to the government of the Philippines on the absolute disaster that has befallen them in recent times. It's heartbreaking indeed to watch our national media reporting the scenes of devastation from throughout the country, and we're thinking, I think, today all of the people in the country, and indeed the very many decent, hard-working members of the Filipino community who are working across this country. Commend the government on what you've done in terms of offering €1 million in aid straight away, and I would ask you to proceed as rapidly as you can to investigate the possibility of sending the Rapid Response Unit to help in the rebuilding of that country. Ceann Comhairle, Tánaiste, last week the Central Bank published a report in which it indicated a huge increase in the number of Irish people going to licensed credit unions. We're already concerned, I think, about those, licensed money lenders. We're already concerned, I think, about those many unscrupulous unlicensed lenders that are working in the country. But across communities throughout Ireland, we know that the bulwark against these lenders are in fact the Irish credit unions, and that the Irish credit union movement have been diligent in combating the plight of such people who charge exorbitant rates. Now, while banks have refused money to families and individuals, many of those families and individuals have in turn gone along to their local credit union, where they found that the small sums of money that they required to operate and to live on a day-to-day basis were made available to them. The circumstances, I would put it to you, Tánaiste, leading to and resulting in the Newbridge Credit Union being taken over by the permanent TSB are very unfortunate. And there was something particularly unedifying about seeing the central bank go to the High Court on Sunday evening, prompted by reports, I suggest, in the local radio KFM, that this in fact was to happen the following week. Now, the process that we've been looking at has taken 2 years. It's been inordinately expensive, costing upwards of $3 million. And the end result is that today the people of Newbridge have no credit union. So I would put it to you, Tánaiste, would you agree that the methods employed by the regulator and the central bank have been spectacularly unsuccessful? And can I ask you further if you will confirm the government's support for and respect for and acknowledgement for the fact that the credit union movement throughout the country has delivered so much vital support to communities up and down the length and breadth of the country. Responding to a topical issue here some time ago, Minister Noonan indicated that there might be about 30 other credit unions in the country that are in trouble. In today's media the Irish Independent, I'll finish now, Ceann Comhairle. In today's Independent, I think it's Charlie Weston, who suggests that about 1 in 4 or 100 of the credit unions are in fact in difficulty. So can I just finally ask you that to confirm, in fact, that the approach of your government will be to ensure that where credit unions get into difficulty, that your approach will be to ensure that at the end of the resolution process, that there is in fact in place in those local communities a credit union to serve the needs of the people. And can I finally ask you to look specifically at Newbridge, and can I ask you to ensure that the financial regulator and the central bank will support the local community in its pretty immediate efforts to establish a new and fully compliant credit union in the Newbridge area?
First of all, I want to join with Deputy Fearghaíl on behalf of the government in communicating our sympathy with the people of the Philippines who are enduring a terrible tragedy, terrible natural tragedy. And I want to acknowledge Deputy Fearghaíl's welcome for the action that the government has taken in providing emergency funding straight away in the form of €1 million through NGOs. We're also providing some practical assistance through tents and blankets and emergency facilities of that kind, and we also have our rapid response corps of technical people who are ready to assist, and we'll work with the UN agencies to mobilise the greatest possible international response to that tragedy. You've asked me a number of questions, Deputy Fáil, arising from the action which was taken in relation to the Newbridge Credit Union. And first of all, I want to say that that action was taken in order to protect the members, to protect the savings that were in that credit union, and to prevent a situation arising whereby the credit union would have to be liquidated. There had been other options that had been looked at a period of time, including the possibility of an amalgamation of that credit union with another credit union, but that didn't work out. You've asked me a number of specific questions, and I want to answer them directly. First of all, the government's position in relation to the credit union movement. The government supports the credit union movement. The credit unions in this country have provided great support to people. They operate on an ethos, a not-for-profit ethos. They operate on the basis of solidarity. And I want to say to you directly, the government continues to support the credit union movement. And we back that in practical terms by having €500 million available in two funds to support the credit union movement, a fund which provides for restructuring of about €250 million and another fund for resolution of another €250 million. Specifically in relation to Newbridge, as you know, there were a number of exceptional circumstances in the Newbridge case. The average loan which is issued by a credit union throughout the country is €7,764. There were 26 loans with an average of €550,000 in Newbridge. There was one loan of €3.2 million, which was in excess of the Credit Union Act restriction of a maximum of 1.5% of the total assets. 52% of the loans exceeded 5 years duration, as opposed to the maximum which was set out in the Credit Union Act of 20%. The government would like to highlight its support for the future return of a credit union to Newbridge, and we will work with people in Newbridge to that end. You asked specifically about the reports in the newspaper about the possible number of other credit unions who may have difficulties, and you mentioned the figure of 1 in 4 credit unions being possibly in difficulty, in reports to that effect. There are 392 credit unions in the country. Based on the data which was submitted by the credit unions themselves, as of the 30th of September 2013, some 20 credit unions have reported regulatory reserves below the minimum requirement of 10% of assets. This gives rise to a capital shortfall in the region of about €11 million in total, but that has to be put, as I said, in the context of the funds that the government has made available of about €500 million. The central bank, and I think this is maybe where the reportage has taken off. The central bank is working through a portfolio of approximately 100 credit unions on a case-by-case basis. This is in relation to issues that arise in those credit unions, levels of arrears, inadequate bad debt provision, high fixed asset to total asset ratio, and other supervisory concerns. But the actual number of credit unions who have reported regulatory reserves below the minimum requirement is 20 of the 392.
The Tánaiste, because I think his response is in large measure quite positive. And I take it from what you're saying that the approach of government and of the central bank will be to ensure that there are credit unions in the communities that may be further affected if changes have to be made on foot of the resolution process. I thank you as well for indicating quite clearly that the government, and I take it that the central bank, will support the establishment of a new fully compliant credit union in Newbridge. Can you also assure us, though, Tánaiste, that the procedures employed in Newbridge, which have gone on over 22 months, which has cost upwards of €3 million, and which has resulted in a current situation in which there is no credit union at all to service the people of Newbridge, that will be looked at? Can you finally indicate to us what the position is in relation to the directors of Newbridge Credit Union who were subject to a gagging order and who, as a result, were pilloried, it has to be said, in the local and national press, were accused of many things, that they can now, in fact, defend themselves and attempt to vindicate their good name. And can you tell us, finally, what is the position in relation to the building in Newbridge? Because, again, many people involved in the credit union movement across the country will be wondering, if they become subject to the resolution process, what will happen to their buildings. The assets and liabilities of Newbridge Credit Union have been transferred to permanent TSB. So be it. But what is the position in relation to the building which is owned by and built and paid for by the people of Newbridge?
Thank you. Tánaiste.
Well, first of all, the position in relation to Newbridge is that the transfer of assets and liabilities, excluding the building, those assets and liabilities have been transferred to permanent TSB. That's by way of the High Court order. Now, in addition to that, the Governor of the Central Bank has requested a financial incentive of up to €53.9 million, which has been agreed to by the Minister for Finance. That money amounts to 23 million in cash up front. That's to fill the hole in the balance sheet. Restructuring and integration costs of 4.25 million, 2 million for other transferring liabilities, and a risk share on the transferring loans whereby the state will absorb 50% of the losses where loans perform below their transfer value and 50% of the gains where they perform above the transfer value. If these loans were written off immediately with no recovery, it would result in an additional 24.7 million total cost. Without the transfer to permanent TSB, Newbridge would have been liquidated. There would have been a loss of 1.1 million in unprotected savings.
Thank you.
Sorry, I can't go there.
Sorry. No.
Yeah. Well, just to conclude, as I said, there were other options that were looked at in relation to Newbridge. As I mentioned earlier, there was the option of amalgamating with another credit union. The Central Bank also assessed other options, including the one that there was a proposal made by the Newbridge Action Group, and that was also assessed. And that was rejected at the time because it didn't provide a satisfactory solution to the capital deficit. In relation to the future of a credit union in Newbridge, as I've said earlier, the government will support whatever efforts are made to re-establish credit union in Newbridge, whether that is a credit union from somewhere else establishing in Newbridge, or people in Newbridge, the local community, establishing a new credit union. We stand ready to support that because the government does have a strong commitment to the credit union movement, to the work that they do. We want to see successful credit unions, and we hope that we don't have other situations like Newbridge.
Thank you.